What's going on, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Your Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me for my overview of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Compendium Hardcover Volume 1 from IDW. Let's kick shell. Is that what? Yeah, that's what they said. Or, ouch, my toes. Sorry, my kids and I have been going through the Cowabunga collection. So anyway, let's go ahead and start with this overview. And welcome back, everybody. So here we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Compendium Volume 1. It is a hardcover, and to answer the big question, how big is it? It is as tall as an omnibus, whether it's a Marvel omnibus or a DC omnibus. It is just as tall and thick. So it's very similar to the compendium that was released for their Lock and Key earlier this year that collected everything. But here you have it right next to this Marvel omnibus right here. X Factor. Can't wait to do an overview of that. But yes, let's take a closer look at this. It does come with a dust jacket. Here you have that classic Eastman and Laird image that, I don't know, for a lot of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s, that has just become such an iconic image. It's definitely up there amongst, like, for me anyway, some of the most iconic images that immediately you recognize. Of course, it's kind of hard, not to dismiss 4 turtles up on a building. But here you have the spine, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Compendium IDW. I love that. You all know that I love Volume 1s because it gives me hope for more volumes. Dive into the origins of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A little bit of what's collected in here, the ISBN with the price, and the price of this particular collection is $150, and the IDW logo there. Now, underneath the dust jacket, we have another image of the turtles right here, and this almost not really neon green, but it definitely stands out. Everything has to be green. I mean, we are talking about the turtles, and nothing on the back. So we do have a dust jacket and then art on board. And the other thing that you probably noticed compared to the Marvel Omni is that it is a flat spine. So very similar to the build of that Lock and Key collection. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about what's collected in here. Because one thing I didn't show, I'm sorry, is this actual flaps. So a little bio on Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, and then Raphael right there. All right, so I have to talk about what's collected in here because people have been asking me what exactly is in this collection, and is it true that it's not containing some issues? And the answer is yes, that is true. It is missing issue number 8. So this collects issues 1 through 7, 9 through 14, the Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Leonardo Micro Series one-shots, the Fugitoid one-shot, and then Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and then Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 through 5. So it is missing that one issue. I'll talk a little bit about what that issue is, but if you are a completist and you have to have that issue in print, because this is the home of collected editions, that issue can be found in Volume 2 of the Ultimate Collections. Now, what's interesting is that issue was able to be reprinted here in these editions. So, also in the trade paperback versions of this. But another interesting thing, and why I think this is the superior collection, is that this particular collection right here, Ultimate Collection Volume 3, is missing issue 13. And pretty much all the Ultimate Collections just collect the Eastman and Laird, whether they wrote them or drew them. So it misses all those other issues that were written and drawn by other people. And that's what this is going to fix. This is going to fix that issue by collecting everything else, I guess, outside of issue number 8, that were written or drawn by someone else outside of Eastman and Laird. So we're going to crack this open, talk a little bit about the comic, this original comic origin of the Ninja Turtles, and then, of course, look at the build of the book and compare the artwork to the Ultimate Editions. I don't have the works because to me, Turtles was always black and white. That's the way I grew up, and yes, this is all in black and white. All right, cracking this open. White end paper there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Compendium. Green right there. And then your table of contents, what is collected in here. And of course, the dates they were published, who the cover artist was, who wrote the comic, who drew it, who inked it. No colors, of course, unless it's on the actual cover, but who did the lettering work. So that's all there, and it kicks off with that first issue right here. All the way back to 1984. Man, I love the story of Eastman and Laird. To me, I think they're the ones that kicked off this whole indie generation of people that dream and keep on dreaming that one day they will make it big. Because yes, of course, there have been other independent creators before this, and there have been other creators after this. Some have been successful, some have found TV shows and movies, but I don't know. There's just something about Eastman and Laird that to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that they've always appeared to be the most successful people that have ever created any indie comic. And I'm not sure why that is. Probably because of that multi-million-dollar empire they grew just on the toys alone. But yes, this is the comic book that was adapted into the TV show, and then of course the toy. So I am just gonna be talking about the comic. I think I've done an overview of the IDW stuff, and I try to keep up with those hardcovers as they come out. But this is the original stories. This is the original stuff that came out in 1984, self-published by both of these gentlemen. I love that story of both of them just working, drawing this and goofing around, and one little turtle image grew into this entire franchise that still to this day is so important. So here we have the characters of Michelangelo, and we have the character of Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael. 4 turtles that also happen to be teenagers and ninjas. They're anthropomorphic animals, kind of the same way that Usagi Yojimbo, Uncle Scrooge are. And they're fighting a bunch of thugs in the streets right here. And they go back into the sewers to be greeted by their master, and this is Master Splinter. And Master Splinter is congratulating them on this mission. So now Splinter decides today is the day that he needs to tell them and the audience their true origin. So again, this is the origin of the comic book. It's different than the origin of the cartoon. It's different than the origin of the IDW or any incarnation, really. I like the fact that they're all a little bit different, but in spirit, I think there are a lot of similarities. But this is the original one that both Eastman and Laird wrote. So he tells the story of his master, who was once a human being named Hamato Yoshi, and he was his pet, his little pet rat. And Hamato Yoshi was a warrior of this clan known as the Foot. So one day, while being a rat, while being his pet, he started mimicking his martial arts style, like so. Now, sadly, Hamato Yoshi and this other gentleman from the same clan, Oroku Nagi, fell in love with the same woman, Tang Shin. Both of them loved her, and well, let's just say Oroku Nagi was a little more aggressive, but she chose to be with Hamato Yoshi. Now, Nagi's extremely jealous, and one night, in a fit of rage, he went to Tang Shen and demanded that she love him, but she refused. So in a fit of rage, he beats her. Yeah, I mean, he is not holding anything back. However, Hamato Yoshi walks in, and he sees what's happening and ends up killing Oroku Nagi. Now, because they were in the same clan, Hamato Yoshi has a choice to make. Does he stay there and commit suicide to make this an honorable death, or does he leave with her and go into hiding? So they decide to leave and go to New York. And back in Japan, Oroku Nagi's family, especially his younger brother, swears an oath to kill the man responsible for this. And that is, of course, Orokusaki. So Orokusaki rises in the ranks of the Foot Clan, because he was also in the Foot Clan, and he gets sent over to New York. So now he is building the New York branch of the Foot into a huge criminal powerhouse. And he never ever forgot his goal of getting revenge. And he's able to track down, of course, Hamato Yoshi and Tang. And, well, let's just say that he ends up breaking into their apartment. He kills Tang Sheng and also kills Hamato Yoshi. So his rat, Splinter, is now living on the streets, and he comes across a bunch of little turtles who have just gotten uh, broken out of a little aquarium because of this vial of ooze that just came rolling off with his truck, and the ooze is now all over the turtles. And sure enough, he noticed that they're mutating, not just the turtles, but him. So he teaches them the way of ninjutsu, and their mission is to go after Orokusaki, now going as the Shredder. He is known as the Shredder. And that's pretty much the first issue. All of that happens in the first issue. Everything that you've seen in the comics, or I'm sorry, in the TV show or in the video game of the Ninja Turtles versus the Foot Clan, all of that happens in issue number 1. I mean, it was a big issue, but still, that is a lot. This book right here is probably one of the most sought after books to anybody my age. I remember wanting a copy of it, and sadly, I wasn't able to get it. It's one of those books that I know has also had a lot of, I guess it's bootleg, is that what you would call it? Fake copies, illegal copies of it. I think it's the most illegal copied book in the history of comics. So you got to be careful out there when you're purchasing these books. So in the first issue, you were introduced to not just Splinter, but his 4 turtles, Donatello, Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and of course all of them named after Renaissance masters. You're also introduced to Shredder and the Foot Clan. Then later on, you meet characters like April O'Neil, Baxter Stockman, and the Mousers. And this is a lot more serious than the TV show, or even the toys, the cartoon and the toys. It's a little more adult themed. And it's funny because it's a take on Daredevil. Both of the Eastman and Laird love Daredevil. So Daredevil fights the ninja known as Thief. And here, the Ninja Turtles fight the Foot. Now, you're probably going to ask me, why is issue number 8 missing? Well, issue number 8 is missing because that features Cerebus. So I'm sure it has something to do with some licensing. It's also the story that I think Dave Sim also drew some of the stuff in there. I'm sorry, he co-wrote some of the stuff that is found in that issue. But this issue is pretty important because it features Renet, who's an apprentice to the Time Master. Oh, what's his name? Lord Simultaneous. But you do get a ribbon in here. And all the covers are collected in color, like they originally appeared. Here is Fugitoid right here, who also made an appearance in the cartoon. So you're going to see a lot of characters that have shown up in the cartoon through here. You're going to see a lot of characters. If you followed the IDW series, you're going to see a lot of characters that were reimagined for that particular series through here. Now, this is the 13th issue, and this is not collected in those Ultimate Editions. This is written and drawn by Michael Dooney, and that's why it wasn't collected. So it wasn't either written nor drawn by Eastman or Laird. So, I mean, this is just a story about how the Turtles are all planning on camping in an abandoned factory by the lake. But I think it's really cool that they're actually putting these out. There was a trade paperback editions of the comics that were not by Eastman and Laird. They were just called the Classics, but that unfortunately got discontinued. So I hope the sales of this show them that there is a want and a need for this particular era of comics, because I think outside of the Mirage books, because that's how I first got these. I used to have the Mirage like trade paperback in the early 90s. I remember my friend Jason brought it to school, and I'm like, I gotta have that. We were in the 5th grade, so it must have been 89, 90. It was like a trade paperback, and he was like, oh yeah, there's like a limited edition that's also signed. Those things were expensive back then. Because we didn't have graphic novels back then. Not like we do now. We didn't have collected editions like we do now. I mean, this definitely has an indie look and feel to it. All these stories, not just the way that it looks, but also the way that it is written. It just has this indie feel to it that, I don't know, you don't find very often in comics these days, but it really reminds me of going to like comic book stores and trying to find the most indie looking books, because we always thought it was going to be the next big thing like Ninja Turtles. You know, we wanted to get rich. Oh man, I bought so many crappy comics because of things like this. But the splash pages, you'll probably notice, look wonderful. The spread pages like this are great because they're separated by the frames, the way that they're printed. And I really dig that. Now, the book has 832 pages. So, $150. It is printed on this thick matte paper, but not as thick as the Ultimate Collection. So here, let's do a little, well, no, let's not do a comparison yet. Let's check out the eye. It is sewn binding. I love that color. That is definitely neon green. It's neon green on the head and tail band. Love it. And on the opposite page of the covers are usually green right there. So there's a lot of classic stories if you've never read these before. But what I wanted to do was compare the art to that of the Ultimate Collections. So the Ultimate Collections, like I mentioned, have a thick matte paper. This is a little bit thinner than this. But I do like the fact that the covers are all big and splash. Unlike this, where it looks like it had been shrunken down for some reason. But this is what I wanted to check out, to see how the art looks. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell through the camera or not, but the paper stock that they use on these Ultimate Editions, they have a little bit, I guess, of a little brownish tint to them. They're not quite white. So, almost gives you the impression that you're looking at something that was printed back then, just it's been blown up. So, honestly, I don't really see a big of a difference. I mean, the blacks are really absorbed by the paper stock that they're using here. As you can tell there and here. It's almost, actually, it looks better in this paper, the new compendium paper, than they do here. Just a little more comparison right here. Kind of give you an idea. The amount of detail. It's not like it's bigger over here because all they're doing is just blowing up that image. I mean, these these books were not printed originally digitally. They were scanned in. And the cleanup process, you know, is as good as you're going to get for something like this that's this old. Unless you're going to be spending a lot of money. Just doing a little more comparison. So the art, of course, is a little bit bigger here in the Ultimate Editions than they are here. The spread pages are, I think, are handled better in this edition. The way that the art doesn't start until here. So you're not losing any artwork. Not that you are here, but you are getting some gutter loss in the Ultimate Editions. The thing that I'm disappointed in that they don't have here are these wonderful, like, breakdowns and interviews that they did for the Ultimate Edition. There's no introduction, which I really was hoping they would do. I mean, this is Ninja Turtles, so I was hoping they would do something special for it. But each issue here in the Ultimate Editions, what they do at the end of the issue, right here, it's Kevin Eastman and Peter. I loved reading this stuff. You know, remembering these times. It's almost like a little bit of an interview, or talking about particular pages. I was hoping that stuff would be collected here. So if you're a completist and you want to know the behind-the-scenes things, you know, yeah, you have a choice to make, right? Do you keep this or do you upgrade to this? That I leave up to you. I'm just saying I was hoping that this stuff would be included in here. But there's no extras in the back. It just kind of ends. So it's just like you're looking at the single issue, no letter pages. Just the cover and the actual issues are what's collected in this particular collection. So, let me just show you again. You have a cover. This is Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then the issue with nothing at the end of the issue. Just jumping into the next issue. So, I was hoping they do a little bit more. Especially since they have enough room to do it. But then again, that depends on the paper stock. The paper stock they're using here is thick, and that is a thick book. I guess if they were using thin, glossy paper, you could add a lot more issues in here. But I did want to point that out. The book laid over really nice, though. I didn't have an issue with that. And I love the ribbon. We'll give it that. But, I think, yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about it. That, as they say, is that. Cowabunga! How did I not go with Cowabunga? If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this compendium. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking it up, if you already picked it up, if you're good with your Ultimate collections, because you're just interested in the Eastman and Laird stuff. And yeah, questions down below. And let me know down below if you think one day they should do a collection like this in color, like they did the Works. It was the Ultimate Collections Works, the Works. But everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Oh, and check out our Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel. Much love.